Hello and welcome to the City Talks. I'm Kirsten Walsh. We're here today with the Director of Hire A Hubby, Brendan Green, who's going to share some insight into the success of his franchises. Welcome, Brendan.
Thank you, Kirsten. Lovely to be here.
So, with such a big network nationally, what level of support do each of your franchisees receive?
Franchisee support is probably the most important thing that a franchisor can focus on, because at the end of the day, if a franchisee is going to be part of a network and pay a fee to their franchisor, support when they need it is the most important thing. So, we've challenged ourselves over the years to try and find the right ratio in terms of support. So we're working currently on about 25 franchisees to one member of support staff. That enables us to be with the franchisees often enough, but also not be there too often where you're interrupting their all-important work days. We believe that the personal plan of the franchisee should drive their business plan. So our mantra is to make sure, because everyone's so different, not everyone wants to run $1 million business. Some guys have come out of a working environment where they've managed staff and they want to be a man in a van, and that's going to suit them. So first thing we need to do is understand what their goals are. We use the technology platform that we established at Hire A Hubby to record that information, and then we flow through a process of a monthly financial review, which is an opportunity for the franchisee to have a conversation with his field manager, go through the basic numbers. So we collect the financial result each month, we assess that against the nominated target, and we look at some of the other key things that might drive the financial outcome, more operational, so lead to quote conversion rates, quote to invoice conversion rates, average sale value, average GP value per invoice. That's the foundation for us knowing how the franchisee is tracking. We feed them into a quarterly support group. Support groups are like-type businesses coming together, typically at one of the local support offices. There's an agenda that we work through which has been determined by that group at the preceding meeting. They have an opportunity to set a couple of personal goals between meetings, so we come back and the franchisees typically hold themselves accountable around what it is they said they would do in the period between. The field manager who runs and I guess chairs that meeting is there as the equivalent of the personal trainer who keeps them on track and maintains their commitment to what it is they've nominated they want to achieve as an outcome. I mentioned before, obviously our annual conference is a really big part of what we do, where franchisees use that sometimes as the base for setting their own personal goals and vision for the next 12 months. And some of the secondary support pieces that we're involved with is more around the well-being of the franchisee. So we have we call it a cell group. It's like a cluster group. So you'll take a regional area, there might be 10 or 12 franchisees, and they'll catch up on an informal basis once a month. It's usually rotating around to different cafes that will provide an opportunity to park up their vehicles. It creates a real marketing statement when there's 10 or 12 Hire A Hubby vehicles there, and drives a whole bunch of new business for that franchisee. But typically what they cover off in those meetings is just a bit of help and guidance to one another. They check in on each other. We have a fairly big focus on mental health issues at Hire A Hubby, and one of those things there is just making sure the guys who might be working by themselves are well supported by their franchise peers. Our field managers are there as well to support that process, but they can be sharing ideas around where to source materials, buy tools, share a bit of labour to get some bigger jobs done. So it's a combination of informal and formal processes that we've found works very well.
Well, Brendan, that was some great insight onto Hire A Hubby and Franchise Cloud Solutions. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Kirsten. It's been a pleasure being here.
If you're interested in learning more about becoming a franchisee at Hire A Hubby, visit hireahubby.com.au.